Imagine a world where women don't have to choose between their families and their dreams. And for a moment, just picture yourself, the workplaces which are designed to support them, and the homes nurture and make them empower rather than limiting them. Today, on this International Women's Day, we will hear from women leaders around the different parts of the India who are going to share the insights on transforming workplaces and homes for a brighter future. And learning today from each other experiences and knowledge, we can gain more. And it is also for our the people who will also listen us. They will also gain more and implement in their own work and home spaces. So on this video, I would like to begin by acknowledging and celebrating the incredible women who are here today on our as a panel. And to each of you, happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Thank
to
you,
everybody.
It's a pleasure
so
being
much,
here.
and
Wish
everybody
you all
who's
the
listening.
same.
Thank you. And before we dive today, I would like to tell about myself. My name is Himani, and I'm a founder of Yuni, which is a women holistic platform. And this platform is to support women to lead, succeed, and grow in their life. And to get started, I would love each of our panelists to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about more yourself so our audience can know. Yeah, thank you so much. So, okay, I think Preeti, you are the first who came. Like, please go ahead. Yes.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Preeti Khare, and I am a founder of Enablance, which is into training, consulting, mentoring, and coaching. And I am a leadership coach as well as a corporate trainer, and recently started to do a lot of POSH training. So I'm a POSH consultant as well. Very happy to be here, Imani and everybody. So pleasure to be with the panel today.
Thank you so much, Preeti. And then Shanti, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. I'm Shanti Sharma, founder of Grow with Satori. We are a small boutique coaching consultancy, training consultancy. Developing people has been my passion, and I'm so fortunate to live my passion through my work. I'm a certified coach, mentor coach, certified learning development manager, and also certified in several assessment tools. A fun fact about me is that I'm a Tamilian, born in Nagpur, brought up in Delhi, married into a Rajasthani Sharma, now in Bangalore. Have been asking my kids to find somebody from the East, but doesn't seem that's happening. A very warm welcome to everyone.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you so much. Aruna, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Himani, and good afternoon, everyone. It's I know some of them, and it's glad to be able to meet them in this panel discussion, and glad to put a face to the names like Shanti, Sandhya, and Jyanti and all. So I'm the founder of Swadhyay. Swadhyay in Sanskrit means self-discovery or self-study. So the idea is a bespoke for we offer through our firm. When I say we, me along with a few other coaches and corporate trainers, it is a customized bespoke coaching and training engagements to corporates. Basically, I concentrate on the startups and small firms. And my other passion is networking with women, such as the talented women present here, and then learning from them. And yes, I'm also certified and equipped with a few tools of the trade, but always on the lookout for some more learnings. And thanks once again, Himani, to make me part of such a wonderful group. Love being here and participating in the discussion as it goes.
Thank you so much, Aruna. Just want to tell you one thing. Whenever I talk to Aruna, I always, get more and more, passionate because she is so much a learner. So I always feel, oh my God, I also want to learn this. Maybe I should go ahead with that part. Thank you, Aruna. Sandhya, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you, Himani, and thank you for this platform. Thank you for, I'm really happy to be here with all of you today. So a little bit about me, being in the field of people. When I say people, everything to do with people. So predominantly an HR professional for the last 27 odd years. So I kind of straddle both worlds, HR and coaching. Certified PCC on my way to MCC, mentor coach, But I think apart from all of that, what really drives me is working a lot with women. And I think that really gives me the energy and just that drive. And fortunately, I've had the opportunity to work a lot with women leaders, budding women managers. Um, and I think the best moments have been really enabling my staff, my house help to be independent, helping them to really have their own bank accounts and all of that. So I think women play a very important role in my life. Music is another is another area of my life that I hold very dearly. A bit of sports, not much. Live in Pune. My son just turned 18, so he's going to fly off to the US. So a lot of emptiness syndrome I can see coming my way. Well, I guess that's one of the challenges of being a woman and also a strength. So looking forward to being here, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandhya. Suvidha, would you like to tell about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Mani, for having me on this platform with all these wonderful ladies. Happy Women's Day to all of you. Coming to me, I am a personality development coach. I'm a founder of Skills Cut Training Studio, where we cater to corporate professionals with group coaching and one-on-one coaching together. As and when required for my clients, I mostly cater to communication skills, appearance management, image management, confidence building, etiquette, and grooming. So that's about me. I'm based in Bangalore, and lovely to have this discussion going forward.
Thank you so much, Suvidha. And Krishna, would you like to go ahead?
Thank you, Himani, and hi to everyone again. My name is Krishna Priya. I'm joining from Bangalore. A one-liner that I generally use for myself is that a feminist mom raising a baby boy who's not a baby anymore, he's turned 7. I'm also an HR professional, currently heading the people function for an NBFC called Branch International. We are employing a lot of women, and we do have a lot of women leaders as well. So that's something that I'm really proud of. Yeah, and I'm also a certified coach. That's how Himani and I met during our coaching journey. And I'm excited to be here. Such a diverse, talented pool of women here today. I can't think of a better way to celebrate the Women's Day. Thank you, Himani, again.
Thank
Looking
you so
forward.
much. Thank you. So Jyanti, you're the next, and Jyanti and I met very recently. But thank you so much. Like it was such a good learning from the Jyanti. Yeah, please Jyanti, tell about yourself.
Thank you so much for creating this platform. And I'm able to meet so many wonderful women on Women's Day. That's a wonderful day to start with. I believe it's amazing. Thank you so much, Himani, for creating this. And to begin, having 16 years of experience in coaching and consulting, and dedicated to empowering leaders, professionals, and entrepreneurs to attain breakthrough results and peak performance. So as a executive and high performance coach, PCC, and now going towards MCC very soon, I'm hoping, with masters in NLP and Gestalt Associate. So I customize my sessions accordingly to customers' need and coaches' need and all. So working on their mindset, working on their leadership, development, effective communication, resilience, emotional resilience, and all. So here I am, and working towards to build more and to learn more from all you people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jyanti, and thank you everyone for introducing yourself. And I think it's such a great panel, and with so much of experience. And like I would love to hear more from you and learn from you. And if I talk about, before moving further, the reason behind choosing this topic for this day is like, I feel there, despite, there are numerous policies, steps has been taken by the government, by the corporates, even by the houses also to help the women into their career. But still, there is a lot of, progress needed to support the women into their career trajectory. And there are still many women, and maybe I would say few of them are still facing a lot of challenges in achieving the sustainable careers. So would you like to discuss the different reasons which are still impacting their growth and what can be done to improve that? And with that, the first question which I would like to our panelists is about when discussing the support for women's careers, the focus often falls on flexible work, Because this is something, like women always talk about the flexible work into the corporate world also, or maybe in the other field also, even they are within the entrepreneurs also. So apart from flexible work arrangements, what other changes in the workplace could significantly enhance the woman's career? Okay, so Jyanti, would you like to tell first?
Yeah, as in when we are talking about the flexibility in work, first of all, we need to work on the mindset of women itself. Because a lot many women, they still think that, oh, I can't do it, or I might not get that, that recognition in my office without thinking. Because I remember I was having a client, and she just she kept on keeping a lot of things within herself, and she was not able to express this to her leaders or management. So then one day I just asked, what is making you not to talk about it, what you have done? So it was there in her mindset that, oh, I might not get it. And the moment she discussed it, she spoke out, she got that. So the point is, we need to work on the mindset, number one. Second is flexibility is not only for women only, it's also for women. When you're talking about leaves and parental leaves or maternity leaves, even now it just started, but we need to work a little more harder. Even the guys can also get the leave so that they can help women at work and, at household itself. So I guess these two things are very important to begin with. The one is very important mindset. She herself should believe in herself, and there should not be any imposter
Yeah.
thing.
And when Jyanti, you were talking about this, there is one of the, like, Sweden has this policy, that they provides gender neutral parental leave system, which encourage the fathers also to take more active role in children. So I think they allow, I think around maybe 248 to 40 days around this thing a year, which is a good number of days for the parental leave. Yeah.
A lot many MNCs are doing it, especially Google or Amazon. They are doing it, but not many. They are just like 20%.
Yeah.
Still, we
Yeah.
need to work with that.
Maybe I think maybe in India, I'm not sure if 20, maybe it could be, maybe I think 10, not sure, like how the corporate, like right now it is going the setup. Yeah. Thank you, Jyanti, so much. Okay, Krishna, would you like to share?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Himani. And I would start with saying that I totally agree with Jayandi. The first thing to start to change is the mindset. While we actively need to work on it, there should be an intentional effort towards the making the workplaces inclusive. A lot of organizations talk about diversity. There are diversity awards and all those things, DEI, IB awards. But I feel that the first step in all these is inclusion. The way we make sure women are included in each and every step that they take in the organization is something very important and something that should be very intentional. I think of late, like Himani said, a lot of efforts have gone into, creating awareness about many things like biases, right? But still a lot of unconscious biases remain in workplace, microaggressions, right? Recently I was listening to a podcast by senior partners, women partners from McKinsey, and she was mentioning a meeting that happened at that level where she was the only woman in the room, as usual in many leadership rooms. And some of her, I think one of her peers asked her to go fetch a mic, just out of conditioning. It was not the intention or anything to belittle her, but because she was there, he asked her to go and fetch the mic. And that was she was giving it as an example of microaggression, even at that level where people are so aware, and then so all they give lessons to other people to open their eyes towards these things. And so I think all of these things are small things, are very, very small points that happen in everyday, the life of women at home or in office. I think these things need to be, changed. Again, now that's on the office side, the workplace side. At home, we do expect people to go out, or women to go out and work, but at the same time, even today in India, there is no, leeway for women to drop the ball even a little bit on the home's front itself, right? So they still talk about balancing, which is not very easy, right? Balancing, I don't think balancing is a right word to use anymore, because that right balance is something that pressurizes women a lot to get to that, point, which is very ideal. It's probably okay not to find the balance, right? Not always to find the balance. I think that conditioning, mindset changes, and the intentionality towards this are very important to creating on top of flexibility.
No, Krishna, I have one question, but let me hold back that question for right moment. I will ask again that question from you on this conversation. Yeah. Okay. Suvidha, would you like to tell about this?
Yes. So, firstly, the point that Jayanti and Krishna had highlighted. So, that's true. The mindset, like it's our mindset and the people around us. It is very, very important that we need to take care of this. Like Jayanti mentioned, recently I heard a podcast of Jaya Kishori, and she had mentioned this in her podcast that now the era has changed for women. Women are getting successful. Earlier women were expected only to like they just handle the home, manage the home, but now the expectation has changed. Now they want a woman who goes out, who works, but before she goes she cook the breakfast and cook the lunch and go. So that's how, so it's a harsh reality. People still expect the same thing from women. If you come back home and if you have a child at home, it's always a woman's responsibility and not a man's responsibility. It's always considered in that way. So that is one thing we as a woman should also understand, and we should come forward and change. Second, which is very, very important, is in corporates, we should have a little more, I could say, affordable childcare facilities, which is really important and which will really help women to grow. Because as women, we have this motherly feeling always, even if you're working. You always have that. And if you have a good childcare facility near you, or at least inside the campus that you're working, it really gives you productivity, is what I think.
I have a question here which I'm not aware. Maybe you all can help me to know that. Are there organizations in India who provide the women employees, as a reimbursement for the childcare facility?
It is essential. It is part of compliance as well that you need to provide creche facilities. Yes, it is part of the compliance if you have a certain number of employees. So you do see the big guns, the top tier, top one, top two tier companies do it. The struggle really is with the small sized organizations. And while I'm just trying to kind of put both sides here, I work a lot with SMEs, MSMEs. One of their challenges is that they really don't have the luxury of having a huge bench, or of having so it's just in time employment. They have a requirement, they have a person. What happens with this kind of organizations is that even if one woman employee goes on a maternity break for 9 months, plus the time that she takes to come back because of the childbearing and all of that, it's a huge gap, and they have to pay that amount, right? So while on one side, I the fact or the reality is that smaller organizations do tend to really be very vocal and a little bit kind of skeptical about about hiring women employees, especially for critical positions. And this is a fact because I work a lot with these organizations. So to answer your question, I think I digressed a bit. To answer your question, yes, it is part of compliance that organizations need to have creche facilities. And most big organizations do have it, but the mid-sized and the tier 3 or the smaller sized organizations do find it difficult to provide for this, because then that requires space, it requires a certain amount of investment and all of that. So, but yes, it is a requirement.
Okay. So I want to ask one more question here. So when you say childcare facility, okay, um, what mold is like into that childcare facility, the organization? So if I talk about the big organizations they are providing at this moment.
So a lot of flexibility is one. I think post the pandemic, we've seen a shift in the way that women are also taking control. In fact, I just read an article just about a week back that the percentage of women employees who demand a salary increase
Yes.
today is way higher.
Increasing.
Yes, yes, okay. And they have no qualms about going up to the management and saying, hey, you know what, I this, or I deserve to have flexible working. Now that has really changed also because of the pandemic. See, one of the reasons that I think, and which is totally unfair, is we expect a woman to work like she has no children, and we expect a woman to be a mother like she has no work or like she's not employed. Now look at these two contrasts, right? You expect, you expect a woman to be 100% doing her household chores and all of that, completely forgetting the fact that she has an equal responsibility at work as well.
Hmm.
And the same applies to the other side of the spectrum. Although I do agree that men are really kind of taking part or kind of sharing the burden, there's a lot of unpaid labor that a woman does, a lot of it. A kid's 12th standard, 10th standard exams, you will see the mother taking holidays to sit with the child. Now, I'm not generalizing this by any means, but that's what really happens, right? The mother feels responsible. Okay, it's my son's or it's my child's, it's my kid's exam, and I have to be there to provide that mental comfort or to just put the kid at ease, making sure that he or she is all taken care of. Now, this expectation is like from generations, and to break that or to change that will take time. But the big organizations do offer a lot of flexibility today in terms of working hours, in terms of breaks, especially for mothers who've come back from their maternity leave, time to go and visit the creche, feeding breaks, right? Health checkups, allowing a mother to just go and kind of be there. So I think these are some of the things that have started, but they're far too few. So for it to be really happening as a wave like it is in the West, I think women themselves, and I completely agree when it was said that women probably are not aware of these rights themselves many times.
Yeah, they are not.
So what happens is that they find it very difficult to go and ask for these things or to demand these things, and that really has to change. So yeah, I hope I've answered that question,
Yeah,
Himani.
yeah. Thank you, Sandhya. And when you were saying this, the topic of choosing this, I tell you how it came is also like I was talking to one of my ex-colleague and who has worked at a very senior position in the banking industry. And she has taken she's not working right now from last 2 years. And the reason is this because she has to pay the attention for the son's study. Now the thing is, what she realized is during that period of time, the son is not giving that much attention to the mother, and then she is like, and she's paying so much attention. But what after like 2 3 years, if she won't be able to get back the job, what about her retirement funds, something which can secure her career? So the child is not bothered, and I'm not earning right now. What will happen during my retirement?
Yeah, that's a legitimate worry, and
Yeah.
it is real. It's there. It's out there. So
Mm.
what's also needed, I think, is for really women to also rally around other women. I think that's the one big thing that I see as something that's very important. Um, Men are really getting there. They're trying to, especially the newer lot. I think that the younger generations are kind of understanding that it's a shared responsibility. Gender biases are reducing, but in fact, I was just reading a very interesting article. There's this nice talk by Palki where it says that, while 48% of women do represent entry-level employees,
Mm.
there is only about 20 odd percent that make it to the C-suite.
C-suite.
And that is a major cause of concern because then there's something wrong happening in between. And that is something that organizations, women, social organizations, all of us need to really pay attention and see. And I really think that we as coaches and leadership fraternity have a huge role to play in sensitizing and kind of, making that change happen.
Thank you, Sandhya. And next, I would like to ask Aruna because she has lived in different countries. So just want to know the different perspective she has seen in her journey. Yeah.
Thank you, Himani. And yeah, uh, all the points made by Jyanti, Suvidha, and Sandhya, and Krishna, and all are very valid. And so apart from that, what I would like to touch upon is from my experience of living and working in these different places. So basically, whether it is in Amsterdam, that is in Netherlands, or in Japan, or in Brunei, what I see is that on one side there is a recognition and there is a need that is felt that yes, women should be encouraged. You would be surprised in a country like Brunei, you have more than 50% of the workforce, or even 100% in the immigration office are women. So it is there. At the same time, on the other hand, there are still these unconscious biases, unconscious cultural things. And your question is about organizational measures, right? How can the workplace be made better? So if you see from the workplace, what comes to my mind immediately is we are trying to fit a wooden peg into a round hole. A bigger, or a bigger side square peg into a round hole, and it's not fitting. And we are trying to smoothen the edges and somehow trying to fit it. Because if you see traditionally, all these measures, all these policies are formed when men are at the I would say societal acceptance of men as earners, wage earners, and women are meant to be taking care of the home. And the same happens, for all the development in West, there is no equal pay in Japan. I have coached some people, I have spoken to some leaders there out of curiosity, and I've met some leaders to know about the situation. And you will be surprised, even now in some organizations, as part of the dress code, women are supposed to wear the stilettos. Yes. Imagine working and standing and all. And there were talks on that. And some of my coaches, the clients in Japan, they were surprised that their counterparts in US and other places are talking about equal pay because they're conditioned. I know that equal pay is not existing here. So I cannot say with 100% confidence that's across board in Japan, in that country or another country. But I observed that the support from organization like Equal Pay goes a lot way. And the way the organizational culture gets shaped up. Earlier it was different. It is not like you're doing a favor to women by framing again, adding some rules to actually, let them continue, let them develop. Or, as one of my clients, and even I speak with my daughter, and they say, okay, we are ticking the boxes. We are women, we are brown, we are blah, blah, blah. So we need to get that position. No, that doesn't happen, right? It creates only resentment. As one of our panelists rightly said, it should be from the organizational side, a relook, total relook. And that happens only when the leaders, both men and women, are more aware of their unconscious biases. Why I include women? Because as some of you in corporate roles might also face this or hear about this, women, when they grow up the ladder, they themselves are the first ones sometimes to say, that, hey, we have faced all this and we have come to this level. So those things, the equal pay, the cultural shift, the mindset shift, not just from the women's side, from the overall organizational viewpoint. And of course, as someone rightly said, flexible working conditions, flexible things like parental leave, flexible scheduling for everyone, not just women, men. Then only they will be able to step up their role as caretakers and the caregivers in the family, right? So, and that will go a long way in erasing the gender roles and that already entrenched perceptions that women are meant to do this. So, just to sum up, I would say from the organization side, they need to be a relook and a complete maybe revamp on how these things are done. DIA cannot be done in piecemeal or as something, okay, it's like we have to do it because it is the trend. Or, we'll try to somehow fit this DEI into our policy. No, whether the DEI policies fit currently into your current policy, whether they need to be looked, all these things to be looked after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aruna. Shanti, I would like to ask you something here. What do you think? What is really stopping? Everyone knows these are the good policies for the women. Okay, organization, yes. Some even male leaders know because they all have, like the sisters, the mothers. They have seen, the wife at their homes, and okay, yeah, one reason could be yes. Some of the like on the C-suite level, maybe the women leaders are less. That could be maybe one of the reason. But still, who reach also still that they follow the same crowd, which is like following the organizations. Then what do you think is really stopping, like for the organization doing something which is like for the women, like not having these policies implemented, in a very, I would say, in a frequent way rather than just by on the papers.
Couple of points I think Sandhya already alluded to. It's the size and the capacity of the organization to
Yeah.
accommodate those policies. I think that is a big thing. The other things is also lack of awareness on this part of women in order to ask and challenge and say, I need this. Unless and until women step up and ask that this is the kind of facility or policy I need, but the policy makers are already too busy with making so many other policies. The third thing I would say is the implementation of these policies. I think every organization has, policies throughout the entire employee life cycle of a woman. You hire without bias, you onboard them without bias, you grow them without bias, you train them without bias. All of that is there. But how much of it is on the ground practiced? I've been with organizations that have, policies like blind interviews wherein the gender is not revealed. And then in the interview panel, that have to be X percentage of women also in the panel. But when the interview date comes, because of somebody being busy or something, it is not implemented on the ground. And then slowly once or twice it will happen, and eventually it becomes a norm because I stepped away from an interview. I did not want anybody to question me, so I will also not question somebody else not stepping into the interview. And then that becomes an acceptable, uncalled for norm that, okay, this also works in the organization. I think that's a big thing wherein policies exist, but the implementation is not there. One more thing that I've seen with organizations is this rush for these awards, diversity awards. It's a fancy term that lots of organizations use. They want, we've hired ex-returnee women. What is not spoken about is how many of those returnee women stayed through their career and grew in the organization. The reality is 50% of the women leave within 3 months, another 50% of the remaining 50% leave within the first year. It's only a handful who are super resilient. I don't care about what I hear, what I get to endure. I will stay strong. Only those. So it's nothing that the organization does, but it's the woman's grit, if I have to say, that sustains her through. What is required is diversity. The definition, I think we need to set right. Diversity is inviting somebody to the party. Inclusion is asking them to come to the dance floor. So I think organizations do a good job of diversity, welcoming women into the organizations, entry level, returnee women, etc. But are they supporting them, calling them onto the dance floor? I think that's the gap that I have noticed.
I just love this line. Thank you.
That's my favorite too.
I think also these small microaggressions, a company has to be very mindful of these because you may, with Posh and everything coming in, there is a lot of awareness. There is a lot of big level kind of awareness, but there is that subtle hint of microaggression. And that, I think, is one of the biggest impediments for women to kind of move ahead, because it really is also taxing on the brain, on a woman's mental and emotional state of being. And that is something to watch out for. And I think that can only come with more awareness. When we're able to stand up and really resist and, counter those microaggressions, that really will be very impactful.
Before I ask
for
you,
ourselves
Preeti,
and others.
sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think I completely, in fact, Shanti, this was a beautiful line that I think it was said by, I don't know, somebody about this, having women at work and yet not, or inviting them to a party and not inviting them to the dance floor. There was a beautiful line that I also heard this. Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Before I ask, Preeti, this thing, I just, sorry, Shanti was saying something?
No, Himani, I was just
Okay.
going to add
Yeah.
one. It was me. I was
Yeah.
just going to add one more point to what Shanti and Sandhya just mentioned.
Yeah.
See, when we have all these policies, I work with smaller organizations. I work with larger organizations, right? So the larger organizations have a lot of leeway in terms of money, infrastructure, and everything to make sure the implementation is better. But that's a challenge with smaller organization. But what smaller organizations can do, and I've seen them doing better, is the inclusion part and the culture part, where there is intentionality towards it, right? What we cannot do, like maybe we cannot have an extensive crush for the employees at the workplace, but then how do we treat them? Do we give them the flexibility, the microaggressions part? So the culture aspect of it, where it is ingrained and the gender doesn't come into play there, is where the small organizations can really make a difference. So just adding it here.
Yeah, with this line, I remember I was watching Shark Tank India, and this woman entrepreneur, she said that, I'm developing the culture in my organization. So the panelist asked, you just have 4 employees. How can you say that, like, you're building in the 4 employees culture? She's like, yeah, it starts from one person only. Yeah, that's nice. And just, before, like, add up one thing here, like, because I'm not from HR background, I have come throughout a very core salesperson. What I felt is that for the organization, what matters is if women employees are there or not. What really matters for them is profit. So if they are getting a profit, either by being a more women employees, by being a more employees, at last for them is driving a profit. Other things, yes, these things like having a woman stability, like more women, that comes for them. But then it becomes more a pressure from the, the culture, from the board directors, all those things. But every time they have on the mind is just profit only. That's what I realized it. I think then they will start thinking some other ways also, how they can get a better profits also, like by being having a woman employees. Maybe then they can think something differently. Yeah. And maybe then they will think really about the implementation, because then for them it is all about profits. Yeah. Thank you.
And there is enough research, Himani, that shows
Yeah.
that diverse boards are far more effective than boards that are
Yes.
either or.
Yes, that's true. Yes, Preeti, sorry to coming so late on you. Yes, please.
No. I just had something just to say about what you just mentioned, Himani, is so having worked with the people, like you just mentioned, you were from sales background, and then we work as HRs with people all the time. And it is 27 years of experience that I bring from HR background and now coming to the coaching industry. And having worked also in 3 different countries in the US, Middle East, and India, I have some data to kind of talk about on the points that we have just discussed, like Sandhya mentioned some and Krishna mentioned some. So one of the things that I feel is that it is not always about the bottom line that you're talking about, which is profit. Not all the time. It is mid-sized and small-sized companies which really think about profit. I mean, bottom line for everybody is important. We are all, every organization there to make profits. But at the end of the day, do we care about people? And how much do we care about people? Varies when the organization size is bigger, number one, because then they have a bigger picture. They understand the value of HR and the human potential and the human resources, right? Number one. Second thing is what everybody said. In addition to that, like I said, that POSH is something that I do also. And implementation part, when we come to the implementation part, right? So like POSH, everybody is aware, just now Sandhya mentioned, but how many people I am doing left, right, and center these POSH trainings these days and going on the consulting assignments. All the time, what I feel is that people really just know POSH, that's all. You go inside of the organizations, and bigger companies have not started to, until unless very recently the government, when it became very strict, that 2013 में ये आ गया था, अभी तक क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, and now people have started to actually hire the consultants and do all of those things. So the implementation part is a problem, wherein I think that the supportive leadership is very, very important. So when you have leaders on the top that think about the policies which are about diversity and inclusion, which are about equal pay, which are about mentoring and coaching programs to really support women, like what Shanti mentioned, right? You get somebody, and then getting to the dance floor only happens when you have that leadership to hold your hand to take you to the dance floor. People don't go by themselves. You have to have a very supportive system there. So I think supportive leadership is one which can come through also now. The coaching industry is coming into the organizations big time. People are having coaches, mentors who come and help women everybody, but women also, for so many programs where they are made aware about so many policies that are in their favor. Like what I just said, POSH is something which is there for the safety, but how many organizations are harassment free is a big question. Yeah. So how do we make this implementation more effective? I think that's a huge contrast when I compare both the Western world and our country. When we talk about bigger organizations there, DNI, every organization, it's a compulsion compliance ka tick nahi hai wo. It is followed, right? Here, a lot of things are just a compliance check, and that is why, and I don't know how we manipulate the data. I'm sorry to say that, and a lot of us have worked and are working with organizations, but that's the reality, right? We are doing a lot of things just for the compliance check and really not bringing it to the core ground, at the ground level, where women feel supported. Just yesterday, I was doing a session, and when I asked, they had never, ever, in 37 years of organization time, they had never experienced anything like POSH. Now, this is very strange. And you feel like, as a woman, I feel very, very yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like they have not heard about POSH, and they have not, and they're bigger organizations in whatever standards you may want to measure them, earning crores again. Bottom line is important, but is compliance for compliance sake, or is it really important that you bring it to the, so I think equal pay also, women need to feel safe to be able to ask for equal pay. People just can't really ask otherwise, they have to feel safe. So leadership support is extremely important. And at home, changing the culture is again like what Sandhya said just now, and I really liked it, that the millennials and the Gen Z is becoming very, very agile, because one, that women of this times have started to ask for that. Shadi karenge to you should be ready to do this. I just remember last month in my family, the girl was, okay, I won't work for McKinsey, and this is my own family, right? I work for McKinsey. If you are ready to remain in the place that you are there in Pennsylvania, if you are there ready to stay there by yourself for 5 days, I'm in for marriage, otherwise look for somebody else. So, you got to be asking that. Women need to put that on the forefront so that they are not actually taken just for granted, number one. Second thing is, at home, the culture, we as mothers need to be very responsible in raising our own boys. When we are raising our own children, we complain at times, because still, whether you are in the US, I was there in the US, and it's a live example. When people come from back home, from our countries, they don't like their boys or their sons to be seen in the kitchen. It's still the norm, right? They want their daughter-in-laws to go like 5 o'clock in the morning, driving 27 miles and bringing whatever she's bringing home, and then buying groceries on the way and coming and cooking. But they don't want their sons to be actually, operating the dishwasher. Now that's the core reality. And we got to, as mothers then, train our own boys to respect this aspect. That if you want a working woman, then at least be prepared to be in the kitchen, to cut the vegetables, to get the grocery, and then, take care of the children. Equal responsibility, right? Doesn't matter if the organizations are giving you the parental leave or a child assistance. How does it matter? Because if at home you still feel like a king, and if the supportive environment is not there, women still in my coaching practice during the COVID, this is again, I feel very, very sad sometimes. During the COVID, some of the women were complaining about that two of us are at home. We are working, both of us are working from home. Still, when the child, I am in my meeting and my husband is sitting, and, probably it's a downtime for him. But the child is going to come for the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner to me. Now, this is something that there is a huge conditioning in our houses. And we don't want, as men, to change, because, again, the society doesn't allow, our homes, our parents don't allow. So I think it needs to change at home from the way we raise our children. And if we can do in our generation, I'm sure we are going to make it much better in the coming generations. That's what I'm seeing. I just gave you an example. That is my sister, now accepting that okay, the girl is not going to come and then so she trained her child that be prepared for this, that you will cook equally because this girl is also going to come home tired. Yeah. So I think there is mind shift, like what everybody said, mind shift, the equal pay, the leadership changing and changing their mindset, supportive leadership, where they can be more inclusive, understanding, then not doing certain things for compliance sake, but really making it, making women aware of what their privileges are, what their rights are, and how harassment or free organizations look like. Because no matter what position you raise yourself up to, women are subjected to harassment. If they raise to a certain level, then also they are getting to listen so many things, because it's not in our psyche yet. We are not transformed that we can accept that okay, if the women is rising, it is because of her capabilities. We still feel that she must have, some favor is involved, some quid pro quo is involved. You do this, I do that type of a thing. So I think that the mindset needs to change both places, at home first, and we can do a wonderful job raising our children. And secondly, at the organizational level, we need to make sure that it is not just, few things written. Diversity and inclusion, we are talking about diversity and inclusion. How many organizations in India have diversity and inclusion department at all? That's a bigger question, right? And where are we talking about gender equality? There is so all of those things. I think they need to really be changed at a macro level.
Yeah, true. It's just like, when you're saying it is just like we are talking about corporate work and all that. So those comes as like a tree leaves. Firstly, the roots is all about our, conditioning the society. So that has to be, like feed up properly. Then the leaves will come also into that way only, I feel. Yeah.
I
And
will just,
sorry.
if I
Yeah.
may just add to what Preeti was saying, and that's so true. Uh, During COVID, I think just after that, when we had this whole virtual working, hybrid, and I think hybrid was not yet there. One of the very senior women leaders whom I was working with said, Sandhya, remote working is a great neutralizer. And I asked her, what do you mean by that? And she said, I don't have to be in the office physically, be subject to a lot of unsaid microaggression. I can be in the safety of my home and do my work exactly as a man does, and I feel safe. Now, this is coming from a woman who was probably in her 50s, and that got me thinking. And she said it so matter of factly that remote working is a great neutralizer in terms of women's safety and in terms of women growth as far as the corporate goes. So, pretty well said. I think I completely agree with what you said about it beginning at home, how we train our kids, how we talk to our kids, especially boys, and women and girls as well. What is the narrative that we are building at home is so important. So, thank you for sharing that perspective, Preeti. Sorry, Himani. I think
No
I
worries.
stopped.
Let me ask my next question and in a different way. Okay. We know, yeah, because I just want to change some context here. We have a lot of us shared, yes, what we need to change in the home environment. Yes. Okay. But somehow, do you think we as a woman are also somehow responsible? Okay. And maybe it could have been made better somewhere, or maybe we take so much on ourselves. We should be maybe, like we have to take care of kids, we have to do this, like this way. So I just want to know, so like maybe let's start with Suvidha. So Suvidha, what do you want to say about this? Like, okay, home environment has to be changed, yes, but do you think are we also one of the part of the responsible in this?
Yes, right. You are actually very right, Imani. Your question is really something which hits us somewhere, because yes, we are responsible. Recently, I had one Women's Day event where I had to speak about the same thing, and there was this example that came up that if you are sitting in a family gathering and if you have guests at home, you and your spouse or you and your brother or sister, so if you have someone sitting with you, who's the first one who gets up and get the water and get the snacks? So even if nobody says you, there's no one telling you, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we are responsible because, and it's all about our conditioning also. This is the way we are conditioned. If we don't do it, we'll feel guilty. That's how we are conditioned. That's how we have been raised. And that's the norm that we need to change. That's one thing we need to change. We need to normalize. The society needs to normalize the household work, the household chores. It's not that only a person who's not earning has to do the household work. Because even if you're doing household chore and if you're not earning, you're still doing much more work where you're not getting paid.
No, that's a thankless thing. You keep working at
Yes,
home.
that's
And
right. A
it
woman
is
does
the
a thankless
most
job.
thankless job that, and unfortunate that, but that is no matter how much you do, and it'll take generations with her for
Right.
us to, and especially in the country that we are in, it'll take generations for us to, because still, when women like this, when they say, okay, I'm working for this company, and I won't be available for 5 days. Very broad-minded families, which are very few. और उसमें भी हो सकता है, the mother-in-law and father-in-law, because they're prepared. They're already talking to that girl. They are in that frame of mind. But think about the 5 other buas and ufajis and mosis and mosajis who will come and say, oh my goodness, mera beta wahan par kamata bhi, or all of this, so it will take us generations before we can actually change the mindset. This whole thing has to shift where we are, what you just said, normalize is the word. Normalize that it is okay for the boy and the girl when we are expecting equal salaries. If not equal salaries, we're expecting two of them to work. So why not we share it equally? Abhi bhi equally is not understood properly. When one person is just doing the dishes and people treat it, okay, wo wahan dishes karta to hai, but rest everything from the child to cooking to chopping to bringing everything is a woman's. Again, it is, where do we as women draw the boundary? And that is to change within us. Like what you asked, who gets up to get that glass of water is a conditioning. We will feel bad कि अगर पापा उठ जाते हैं, कि भाई उठ जाता है, we feel bad. I don't know why do we feel bad, because that's how our mothers have taught us, or people around us have taught us. So I think it has to change, and that's what I'm saying, that our generation is going to play a very crucial role in really normalizing it now going forward, where we say, okay, this is what it is. And if you are prepared to, if you want to accept a wife like that, who's qualified, who's working, who's bringing this much, so you should be ready to go in the kitchen at the same time, same number, with same frequency and intensity.
Yeah. Preeti,
I
I was just thinking that I belong to Kerala, okay? So Kerala has they follow the matrilineal system. And in fact for
Krishna
us,
is also, I think, from Kerala. Sorry, yeah.
so when we have property handed down, it's the women who get it first, So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
yay, this
Wow.
Yeah.
We won't actually implement that in laws.
My grandmother
But
was a matriarch.
yeah, having said that, in fact, there's this beautiful podcast by Manu Pillai, who's a historian, and he talks about the Travancore uh, royalty,
Yeah.
how it was when the woman ruled and the man had to bow down. And this is ancient Kerala, right? So it's a must watch, must hear podcast. In fact, I'll share it with Himani and she can share it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So having said that, even though I come from a land which is literacy, which is matrilineal society and all of that, what you said, Preeti, is so true that it's ingrained in us that हमें उठना है, हमें उठ के ये सुबह उठ के हमें चाय बनाना है रे भाई क्यों? So while it's not something to defy a norm, can we normalize it? Can we just normalize the man getting up and making chai for the wife? Why does it have to be such a big hue and cry over it? Is my whole point, you know? So yeah, having said that, ladies, I might have to log out a
Sandhya,
little early.
before you go, just one last thing, okay? And I'm going to ask all this from everyone also. This is something personal, but what is something which you have changed in your home life for yourself, okay, which is different from like social conditioning and norms?
So I make
Yeah,
no bones about me traveling for work, and I say, boss, you guys have to manage whatever home is. And my son is trained to cook his own meals. He's trained to clean, not just cook.
yeah.
I've seen most sons or most people, they'll click, but he has to clean the kitchen. He has to do his vessels, whatever is there in the sink, wipe it. Because I'm a little OCD obsessed also. The kitchen platform has to be clean, and this is a norm in my house. So
Wow,
uh,
that's
also
nice.
normalizing conversations with my son about what do I do,
Mm,
right? What do I bring to the household in terms of expertise, in terms of financial independence? Boss, you're talking to a woman
mhm.
who's turned 50, who is financially independent, and she pays for your education as well, in addition to the father. So these kind of conversations, and I make no bones about it. So that's something that I have changed.
Thank you so much, Sandhya, and have a
Kudos.
nice day. Please
Thank you
enjoy.
so much. I'll go on to play my sport
Sure.
now. Ladies, it
Thank
was
you.
wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
great
Thank
conversation
you.
with you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All the
All the
best,
best.
Sandhya, for your game.
Bye.
Bye.
So I
Yeah,
want to add what
Jyanti, yeah,
Preeti
I want to ask you only. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, please say, yeah.
So, very beautifully, Preeti, you mentioned, and even Sandhya also mentioned that normalize and guilt. These were the two words came up. So, when we women, like at home, we are given a tag of supermom or superwoman, but it's positive, it's good. But at the same time, it's pressurizing a woman that you have to be a good in every task. You have to be a good mother. Nobody will say you are not a good father or
Mm.
you are not a good son, but they will say you should be a good daughter, good mother, good. Even like when you're going at home, then you'll be like you should be good at work. So there is a lot of pressure in women, like okay, I have to get up to serve my guest. I have to get up to get that class bhi mujhe lana hai. I have to make the chai and everything. But why we need to put so much of pressure? Why we can't just normalize women and treat women as human rather women? That's the perception and values and beliefs. Jo pata nahi, like how many years it's coming from.
Yeah.
And we are seeing, we are implementing, and very beautifully, you guys mentioned that we need to implement it. Leaders has to take, they're supposed to take this step forward so that once we'll see that it's normal. It's normal to give a position to a woman. It's normal that you can make some mistake as a mother. It's normal to do this. So just to normalize in way, you're not a superwoman. You're a human. So live every day. That's it.
And when you were saying Jyanti, like I follow one of the person on LinkedIn, so she is one of the special person in this thing, special child. And she said, why don't the people, like, to the special child and disabled, say just as being a human, using the word for them, rather using those words. So this is something, yeah, for the women also, like if you're using the word human is really like, something people should start using it. And with that, I want to ask Aruna, because she has, I know, two daughters. Okay. So just want to know more, Aruna, like what is something is which you see the changes, like your two daughters are growing and what do you see are the changes which is happening?
Thank you, Himani. Yeah, certainly I will share. For those of you who don't know, I have twin daughters and they turned 22 today, their birthday today. So, and they're
Happy
have
birthday to them.
Thank you, Shanti. Yeah. They actually we moved out of the country, out of India when they turned 5. So from the past 16 or almost 17 years, they are exposed to different, I would say, cultures and different viewpoints, perceptions. And my experience is similar to Preeti, and we had a good talk earlier. So we observed some commonalities as well as some differences. Basically, what I could get to the table, or what I was very conscious, in fact, was that, getting that girl versus boy feeling to the table. And also the fact that what helped me was my husband is, in a two boys household. And thanks to my father-in-law and mother-in-law, they have to help their mother clean up the table and, not comment on the food which is made. So those values to help. So when it came to us, our parenting, it is not boy versus girl. They should be knowing their financial management. Now they are living in a different country, pursuing their undergrad program. And also, they cannot switch over to this thing like, "Oh, I'm a girl, I require these privileges sometimes," those things. If you think you're equivalent, you better take the entire tab, take the responsibilities. So at the same time, act like that. And you are not at a disadvantage in the house because you are not treated as a girl child. You should be doing this. So that way we encourage them. They both are footballers. They when represented their schools. They go for trekking. They go for single child. There's women, the all girls, or they both themselves go traveling when we were in Japan, whenever they were for holidays. So apart from this, in the mindset. In fact, I joke with my husband or tell my husband, the next time when we are looking for, when the marriage time comes, we should not be like traditional Indian parents looking only at the horoscope. We should also be looking at whether the visas match and whether the guys, whether,
The brain.
because I, whether these two men, someone who is having this type of upbringing from 17 years and someone who might be having a different upbringing, nothing wrong or right, but they might not mix. That jokes apart, one thing which I remember writing an article long back for a column in my one of these things, I said, see, as Preeti rightly said, we are raising empowered women, empowered girls to be empowered women. Are we also raising empowered boys who can handle those empowered women, who can challenge them? So this is one conversation which goes on in my household.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say my daughters are pretty confident. They manage on their own. They're mature enough to understand that there are both negatives and positives in both women and men, not complete men haters or something. And they handle their own finances, budgeting, all these things. And yes, I don't make chai at home in the morning. It's my husband who makes up his own coffee. I would say my husband says she has trained us all, because
Yes.
I'm what I'm on.
Wow, Shanti.
Even if,
Very
even if I'm a morning.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, I have to make a leave now.
Yes,
So,
Jyanti. No worries, no worries. Yeah, bye-bye.
thank you so much. But just to
Bye-bye.
add on one thing,
Yeah.
we are three sisters, and I believe Preeti very well said that it starts from the home. So
Yeah.
our parents, they never said that you are more than a boy. They said that you are a girl, and that's enough.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what it begins.
Thank you,
So
Jyanti.
thank you so much, and lovely meeting you, lovely ladies. Thank you so much. It was
Thank
great.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jyanti. Bye.
Thanks, Imani. Thanks. Take care.
Bye. I
Sorry,
would like
Aruna.
to add
Yeah,
something
sorry,
to
Suvidha.
what
Yeah.
Aruna had said, and also Priti. So there is one thing that nowadays, not now, but I would say since last 10 years, at least 10 years, older ladies like those who are 35, 40 have started raising their kids in such a way that yeah, they have to do their own work. Like men now know household chores, all of those things. I am a 3 years old married girl, and I come from a family where my mother-in-law works, my father-in-law works, both are in a government jobs, and my husband used to really like do all the household chores. Would used to he can cook, he can do everything that a woman can do. But when I got married and when he started helping me, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law did not accept that. So that was one thing. Now they have raised their kid to do everything, but they still don't accept this thing that she is helping someone else, or she is the daughter-in-law and it's her duty to do and not your duty. So this is also one more thing which we need to accept. And it took me good 6-8 months to break this norm, and now we work together. Even when guests are at home, we work together. But there's still one thing. If there is someone, like I guess Preeti mentioned, if you have Bua and Pufasas, that happens. It still
Yeah.
happens. When
Yeah.
we have people outside our family, a different relations, my father-in-law comes and tell me, or my husband comes and tell me, "Aaj tu kar le."
Yeah.
That's how, just in front of them. Don't show in front of them that I can do it. that norm broke after 2 years of my marriage. So it took a long time. Now they are trying to accept that, okay, this is how it is going to be and this is how it has to be.
Suvidha,
I'm
you are a
happy for
lucky
you.
Sooner
one.
you
2 years,
challenge the
2 years is not long at all. You are very lucky.
yeah.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. Challenge the stereotypes. The sooner you can, changes will start to emerge. As I told you, I married into a Rajasthani Sharma family, which had to have palla up to your nose.
Right.
And bangles. I used to be called as chami at office because I would go jing bang throughout. From there to a place where for my first work trip to US, my mom-in-law got me my first trouser and said, "Ja, jile apni zindagi" types. It is a journey. And
Yeah.
it is a give and take. It is not just ask, but it is also give, including
Right.
things like having her sit with us at the dining table and eat, because she used to be the last one to eat, and invariably food would not be left and she'll dilute the vegetable to have it. So we made her sit, and it was okay for her to travel and go out even if there was work at home, kind of thing. So when she saw that, I think she was far more supportive, and she would shush all the relatives who would say, so when my mom and dad used to oil my hair, everyone would say, aren't the roles reversed? And she would say, oh, there's no difference between her and my daughter.
Yeah.
And I have raised my kids exactly like that. My son is 18, my daughter is 23.
Mhm.
She is an artist, very creative. She's a cleanliness freak. My son is the cook at home. He would cook, she would clean, and that's the pact with them. So if I'm getting late, it's absolutely fine. They would manage on their own.
Mhm.
And never, and I was about to answer to you, Suvidha, who gets up for water? Invariably, it's not me. Uh, whosoever is nearest to the kitchen, we all will turn that side and that person goes up. It could be me, but it's not always me. I think that's become a norm in our family, and I'm very proud about it. If I am here today, who I am, it's because of the support that I've garnered. I've asked for, I fought for it, but I've also received it.
Right, Shanti, that was my point. That's where I wanted to end. You have to ask for it. You have to talk about it, and only then you will see the change. So I did not just see what was going on. I did not accept it. And that is the reason I could see the change. Else, even I would have not been here. I would have cooking dinner for my
Very
family.
true.
So that's how it
Kudos.
is.
You know what? I was talking to one of the friends, so she is a Gen Z, and she said, you know what? Don't you feel that the Gen Z's girls, they are getting more empowered, more independent, but the boys also still have to pull up, because if they won't pull up, the things, the way the divorces, the separations are happening, because girls are going empowered, they are becoming independent. The boys are still have to reach that level now, as per the girls. Yeah. And with this, Krishna, I want to ask you one question. So during COVID, and of course, a lot of places work from home option is also going on. Okay, women are getting the flexibility, and of course, we know that there are very few women leaders at the top position. Do you really think, by providing the women the flexible work environments, maybe work from home or maybe the hybrid work culture, is it really going to help them into having the sustainable careers?
Absolutely. I strongly believe that flexibility is one of the key aspects, especially for women at this point in time. We are talking because we still are in the world where the imbalances and inequalities are still there. So till we reach a level playing field, it's very, very important for that flexibility to be there for women. And it's not just that, right? Because biologically also, we do have a lot of things that are going on with us, whether it is a childbearing age, after that it is the perimenopausal, then comes the menopausal. All those things are biological as well. And hence, I've strongly believed that flexibility, work from home options or hybrid options, or the autonomy to choose when, where, what, how can they work to a certain extent at least is really, really important. And it's a very solid example. Even in our organization right now, we are very, very intentional about flexibility, and more than 48% of our workforce is women, and including the leadership team, right? So, and this is a very clear-cut example of how flexibility helps women continue in their careers, make them financially independent, and make it help them, help us bring down the inequalities in the society itself. So I totally believe in it.
Okay. So next question which I want to ask is, like we talk about, okay, we have a lot of women issues. Okay, yes, we need a support of men also in our life. But how can men actively contribute in creating the workplace, especially? Yes, in the at home places, a lot of things can be done. But what about the workplaces? Because most of the leaders are still men. Also, what they really can do so these policies can be implemented, what opportunities a woman can get, and what are the obstacles which you really feel that, which is preventing them to take the actions. So, okay, maybe Shanti, would you like to go?
Absolutely, a topic very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Men can be powerful allies in the journey towards gender equality, preventing bias, and helping other women get to that leadership level. What can they do? First of all, be aware of their biases when they are looking at a newly wed woman for a particular position. Are they saying, "Oh, she'll get pregnant, let's not hire her"? Yeah, or when they're getting a returnee woman, not labeling that woman as she's a diversity hire, let us not give her very meaningful tasks to start with. Can men challenge these biases and support women the way they would support any other? Do we not have men who underperform? The answer is yes. So can there be a parity in treatment? Men can be amazing sponsors and mentors to these women starting from home. It's a funny thing that in my own team, I had men who used to complain just before the meeting starts, casual chit chat, they would complain how the bosses of their managers are wanting their wives to be at office on some, more than 3 days a week or this thing and that thing, but they would expect the exact same thing from the women in their team. So, and then when I would point it out to them saying, okay, so for your wife, it's not okay, but for your team member, it is okay and acceptable. So a very standard answer used to be, oh, that's what you guys means management is asking us to do, isn't it? So, can men challenge that? And, if it is not okay for the wife, it is not okay for the team member too. Small casual things that they do, having a smoke break, late night parties, discussions over drinks. Instead of all of this, let them have drinks, let them have the smoke break. That's up to them. Can the meaningful discussions be still kept for work in a work environment during work hours so that women can be an equal party to those discussions? Giving opportunity, sharing the information, because men are available at late night, post drinks, in parties. They are privy to lots of this information that women miss out because they have to leave back home at 8. Yeah. So can they share that information when they get? I mean, I can go on and on and on. I'll see what others have to say. But this topic is so close. They can do loads and loads of stuff.
When we were saying also, I was thinking, okay, in organizations, there are a lot of HR coaches also. Maybe sometimes they hire external, internal coaches, whatever. But I really feel is that, that part could somehow say in a story way or maybe in some example way to the men leaders. So maybe, that can maybe make them think, okay, maybe this change, if they will implement it, how it can help. Maybe by providing maybe a female employee is really important to have in a team. By giving her a flexibility, maybe she will be able to perform better. Maybe I think those things should be there, like, for the male members. I think the realization part, maybe the realization part really maybe can help them to maybe implement. That's what I feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Preeti, what do you like to say about this? Yeah.
So your question, Himani, you wanted to ask about how could we. So would you mind repeating your question?
Yeah, sure. So what I want to ask is like, yes, men should be our allies, okay, but still something is really stopping them, okay. What is really preventing them from implementing the steps which can really help the woman into their sustainable career?
Wonderful. So I think one of the things out of so many that have already been discussed, one is I think women themselves.
Okay.
I feel very strongly that whether you start from home or what we all were discussing, it is about what kind of boundaries can be set, right? Is it being encroached very easily and we are not really retorting to that, or retort might be a little harsher word, maybe not even acknowledging that my boundary is breached, right? So having those boundaries, so I'll give you just a very small example that I needed. So when I wanted to bring a little shift in the way my mornings look like, I wanted a 3-hour thing for myself, as a, you can call it self-care, self-love, whatever, but 3 hour time only for myself, with myself and no one else. And Aruna knows about that, and we've discussed about it. Yeah. So I think when we think, or when we are taking a decision like that, where our needs are important to us, we need to, what Suvidha said, you need to ask for it, right? So you know that the environment may not in the beginning be very supportive of your idea of asking what you want, but understanding what impact it might create, right? Might, and then asking it would be, people will understand that. So when I needed this time for myself, the first thing was कि अभी चाय तो मैं बना के देके आती थी नीचे, who's going to now make tea? So at that point in time, from it's a chai which you can actually transpose it to the work environment. When you ask for the support from the people around you, and I had to actually walk up to my husband and say, this is what I want for myself in the morning from 5:30 to 8:30, and this is what my morning is going to look like. And because I go and give the tea and make tea for all of us, it is kind of time and again in my yoga, I'm looking at my watch, and 7:30 ho gaya, mujhe isko dena hai, mujhe isko dena hai, all of that. And I really cannot concentrate. So once I was very aware that I needed it so bad, you got to go and ask for the support. How can you help here? And he said, if you think that it is going to help and give you that peace of mind, I will make the tea for them. So the same thing it is in the work environment. If you know what you need, and if it is not something which is unfair to other people, I think you should put it across to the leadership, to the people around you, to the peers, that you need that support. So men in that way, men or women both, when you're in the workplace, in your organization, you need to ask for certain things which need to be granted to you. So I think men will come for support. Your husband is a man, your children, your boys who are working now and then being independent, these are all men around us, right? And if we can begin to see that difference by just asking, and then they get to see a bigger impact, like I said. The moment you get your 3 hours, you're more settled after that 8:30. You're very calm with yourself. Your things are taken care of. Your need is met, right? After that, then you're more extending, to other people's needs, because yours is fulfilled, right? So it is always a give and take thing. So for me to answer this question, Himani, it is one, being able to set that boundary, that okay, this is my time, or at home, or in the office space, whatever it could be, right? Second thing is asking for what you need, right? And being not. So a lot of times, I think women, when I said it is we women who come in our own way, I meant that we don't ask, but we assume कि दूसरे को समझ में आना चाहिए. No, I'm not going to ask my husband to make tea or ask for support. He should understand that 3 घंटे मेरे लिए important. Men always say, I am not a mind reader. I was not born like that. So I can't read your mind. So ask what you, and men logically think in a very logical way, as opposed to women all the time. So they are more logical all the time. We are instinctual, logical, depending upon the situation. Yeah. So what for them it is just black and white. बता दो अगर तुम्हें ये करवाना है. Otherwise, don't assume कि मैं अपने आप किसी चीज में से करके, maybe you're doing a Facebook thing or this thing, but I will not be able to get up and come until you ask me. But if you ask me, I will do it. So we coming in our own way means, if we cannot just think that other person should understand and lay it on assumptions, but really ask for it, that I need your support here. Similarly, in the office environment, I need your support, or I would need this support. For example, coaching programs, mentoring programs, women leadership programs. So if you feel that you probably lack in something, why don't we ask for that? So I think asking, being aware of your needs, and then setting up those good boundaries where people, and then trying to, when you're setting those boundaries, you should also be cognizant of the impact that you're able to generate. People will honor those boundaries only if they've seen that impact. So like what I said, if people are saying that you are much more calmer, I might as well make one cup of tea so that, rest of the day is very peaceful. So you got to ask.
Yeah. The same question I want to ask Aruna and Krishna in a different way. Okay. Firstly, I want to ask Aruna, uh, if at the leadership position, okay, there will be more women, okay, do you think the situation will be different for the woman being in the career trajectory, or do you think it will be the same?
Well, we cannot answer it in a blanket way saying that it is like pretty good.
Yeah.
Because as I said earlier, I would like to add another, I would say a point to all those things we have discussed. We are discussing men and women.
Yeah.
Women for herself. But what I want to touch upon is women or the other women. So I'll just share a small example. My first move from India was to Netherlands, where because of visa issues and all, I actually ended up with a part-time assignment. And in Netherlands, the system is that school system, one of the parents or someone, written should collect the child from the school. They don't let you go by auto or taxi or something like that, no. And especially when the child is, primary and all. So it so happens sometimes my work spills over and then I tell a friend to pick up. I had good support network that way. But still there was this one woman coming up and telling me that, hey, today my daughter won something in this school, something like that. So when she came out, I was not there. She shared it. She was looking for her mom to share. I mean, I say it is an attempt to guilt trip me for going to work types. So this happens with women also. And as I mentioned earlier, another point, most of the women leaders might have had their own journey. And so what happens is sometimes that makes them less empathetic, I would say, or less of a coaching mentality. And they say, like, we have done this, so why can't they do it now? We have faced all this and came up. Why do they need to do things differently? So, in my opinion, having more number of women might add to some privileges, but might not be, on what I would say, all of you are saying macro level on the root level. No, not certainly. That's my personal opinion. Anyone can differ on this. Just I feel that way, unless until that entire mindset, whether men or women changes, there is always a resistance to change in all of us, right? Whether men or women. Even another woman can say, hey, I'm doing it in my house. I make breakfast and come. What is it for her? We both are. But what the other women might not understand, I might not want to make it. Just as Preeti said, I need my morning 2 hours for myself. And then I'm a person, then okay, I say, come on, bring it on, whatever you want to. Now I'm all set. So that is so unless until the mindset changes that each one has a part, so the way we are looking at things should change. I am always for that, that complete revamp of whether it is societal aspirations, societal expectations, gender norms, or at work too. And especially the resistance to change at work is more because they don't have any personal, I would say, relation or connect with us, right? Beyond a certain limit. In house, maybe in domestic situation, maybe things will have a way of working out because we wear the resistance down after some time. But here it is different. The resistance to change can only be tackled by encouraging open dialogue. And probably this is where I can connect with the group of women if they can come into picture by sharing their stories and by being role models. So they can help. So it works as a two-way, I feel. I cannot say it's advantageous.
Okay. Thank you, Rona. And Krishna, I want to ask you the question is like, which was like Preeti also saying at that time. So of course, everyone loves the impact, but do you think man being maybe more logical side, by showing them the numbers, the impact part, okay? Do you think it is really going to help to provide the more opportunities for the women?
So, and I don't necessarily agree with the fact that
Okay.
gender has to do something with logic or numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to be data driven in today's world, whether it is a boy
Yeah.
or a man or a woman, and that's how business works. If you have a conditioning, or if there is a stereotype type more than conditioning, if it's a stereotype that women are not good with numbers, I think I would like to break that. And I think it's a responsibility of all of us who are in leadership positions or in coaching positions, to show that mirror to women. It can come from a space of stereotype as well, right? Having said that, it is a proven fact that emotionally, or the other intuition and other side of it, it is scientifically proven that women are better than men, right? So I would say we should use that to our advantage, and move forward and empower other women on that. In today's world, without data, I don't think anyone can survive. So that is,
Mm-hmm.
if you are in business, and if you, like, we all talked about profits and everything, so
Yeah.
data is a must. You cannot shy away from that. Data, tech, adaptation to AI, whatever the new things, right? You have to be there with that. Then only you can move forward.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Yes, that's truly right. Like, because in this business, you have to show that performance and everything to the leaders. Then only they will act only. And with this, I want to ask the last question, is like, there are some actions, which we can always take, to get us an extra bond. So what steps women can take for themselves also, and for as a collectively also, which can support their careers and can make changes, into the workplace and the communities. So, Shanti, would you like to go?
Sure. I would talk about three things, I think.
Yeah.
One is women need to start broadening their network of sponsors, mentors, allies, friends, champions, people who will speak for them. And it has to be proactively done, not wait for them to do amazing work and somebody identifies them as an amazing worker and then sponsors them. Rather, they need to proactively go showcasing their work all out so that their visibility enhances and people are willing to support. Second, I think women need to learn to delegate at home, at work, everywhere around, not take on those unsaid responsibilities where, after a birthday celebration, the woman is the one who's supposed to clear the cake and the tables. Why can we just delegate it to people around us? And that delegation need not only be to men, delegation to someone else who is best equipped to handle that situation at that time. Third one, self-care. Put on your mask before helping anyone else around. If the woman of the house is healthy, mentally stable, physically healthy, spiritually attuned, aligned, I think she is able to create a family of well-rounded individuals who at work are able to support the women at work equally. So that is what I would say.
Thank you, Shanti. Sudha, would you like to contribute?
Yes. So I would like to say two things. One, women need to stop being perfect. They need to stop being, okay, I have to be the best. You don't have to be. It's okay if you're losing on to one thing. It's okay for if you're not able to do something in the best possible way. You have to accept that. That is one thing which we women need to work on. Second is we need to be more confident about our own selves and our own rights. Like we have been speaking throughout this discussion that how we come up, how we need to ask. All this comes only with the self confidence. Only if you have your self respect, you have your high self esteem, only then you will be able to speak up, ask for yourself. Or you'll still be the same in the corporate also, like you be at home. Like I guess Preeti had mentioned, I think my husband should understand. And that's what I keep hearing from my clients also. In corporates, they say that, oh, my manager should have understood. They should have invited me for the meeting. Now, because I have done so much work, it's okay. They are at a level for a reason. And If they've missed you, or intentionally or unintentionally, it's your job to go and ask them, to get clarity and to get your right. So that is one thing which we women really need to incorporate in ourselves, is what I think.
Okay. Aruna, please, would you like to share? Aruna, I think you're mute. Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Sorry. The
Yeah.
question was how we, help ourselves and all this. So, adding to Shanti and Suvidha have shared wonderful points, especially with respect to perfection. You can't be a perfect mom, perfect cook, and size zero figure, and blah blah blah. Being the life of the party, all these things. Believe me, I had some clients who had come with the same problems. Having a career and then not able to live up to the expectation of the party crowd and all these things. And I agree with Shanti about having that, expanding the support network. In fact, I'm a big fan of his writing. She doesn't mince words. And in one or two interviews, she always talked about having that support network, whether it is relatives, friends, or something, Basically, having someone at your back. Because right now, we all talked about equal responsibility, equal, taking whether it is domestic and all. But we know that the reality is different. At the end of the day, even if the man of the house is still there physically, you will get a call saying that, hey, I don't know how to do it. I'm here, but I'm not able to manage it. So how you advise? So you are in the middle of a meeting, but again, you get the call. I'm sure many of you might, resonate with that, right? These things happen. So the reality, based on the reality, I think one is the support network, not only a family, but from friends as well. Someone who can say, hey, we are there if required. When you travel, when something happens, someone should be there. Apart from that, the role models. So organizations, some of the organizations have Krishna will know better than me because I was not in corporate world for many years, from many years. They have a system of mentoring and providing those hand holding. But if it is not there, I feel it's the responsibility of us women to look for those role models. Many a time, apart from coaching, I consider myself a networker. So if I find someone and then I have friends reaching out to me saying that I'm getting stressed, I feel in my current job, this is where I can reach. What next? Then the one thing I advise taking my coaching hat, I tell them is connect with these people. Probably they will be able to guide you because I don't know your concerns, but you are all in the same line. So maybe if you talk to her, you will, learn, you will know how to plan for the next thing, not just coaching. So the role models. And the last is my favorite is how do you define the success? If a man and women both enter the same role, entry level, like I entered as a junior manager in steel plant and the technical because I started as an engineer. The other person entered. Some of us stuck to steel. Some of them stuck to steel plant. I did not stick to steel. I stick to the steel plant. I had my different journey. So, being an executive director at the plant level, is it my idea of success? Okay, let us remove my example because I have my field, my life was a total thing. But even within the same organization, let us say in an IT or a finance, how do you define your success? Because we know already the baggage we are coming with. We know already the expectations we have. I'm not saying we need to take a back seat or we need to sacrifice. I don't believe in those terms. But I would say, how do we define our success given these things? And how do we plan? So something like, looking at a non-linear path, a non-traditional path, career growth path. And probably if a person goes from A to B this way, maybe women have to put in a little bit more years and go from A to B, A to C to X to B again. So that I think again depends. The mindset probably it will help. So these are the points I would like to make.
Thank you, Aruna. Priti, would you like to please share?
Yeah, Himani, thank you. Yeah, I think Suvidha, Aruna, everybody has made such beautiful points, Shanti. I would actually go with what just add a little bit to it when she said, how do you define your own success, right? So we as women need to actually choose our own battles. Is the every fight worth fighting, or every you know what is that is important for you? First, we need to have that narrative very clear in our head. What is important to me? So, for example, even with other women in the organization, sometimes we tend to compare, forget about men. We tend to compare ourselves with the women, other women in the organization, same thing in the families as well, right? We tend to compare ourselves with other women. So, first, our narrative in our head should be very clear. When people compare us with somebody else and when we compare ourselves with somebody else, both times I think we should be able to self-coach or coach other people at home that we are not here to accumulate, or I'm not here to bag those certificates that you or somebody else gives me. You're a तुम ये भी कर लेती हो और तुम घर का भी कर लेती हो. So all that is like, again, putting a lot of pressure on you in getting everything done, right? So if that narrative is very clear in our head, that this is, you're telling me I am good, I am perfect, is not going to, again, put me in that pressure, and I should take more and more, and ultimately my health, my self-care, and all of those suffer, right? And those boundaries get breached. So very clearly understanding that this is a battle that I have to choose. This is worth fighting for me. This is what is important to me, has to be very clear. And once we know that, then probably even whether it is organization, whether it is home, both ways, it is easier for us to then be very settled. It's important for us, and especially as coaches, to be very calm because our profession demands that, right? So how do you be calm when situations around are very supportive? So asking for the support is important, but at the same time also understanding sometimes the support may not be given, right? But are you under any kind of pressure कि नहीं, अगर ये नहीं करूंगी तो लोग मुझे वो मेरी घर की certificate is gone और मेरा office का certificate is gone, do you want all the certificates, or you don't want it, you don't care about them, is very important. Yeah. So how do you then really choose those important things that, okay, for me, for coming so many years, like I'll just give you a small example in one line, Himani, is that a lot of work that involves traveling is coming my way right now, which could be corporate coaching, corporate training. I got to choose. Nobody else has to tell me you are so good, or at home कि नहीं करके आओ बहुत तुम्हारा तो ऐसा चल रहा है. All that is people's opinion. What is important for me? My son is in 12th grade right now. It's another year, and he also flies to another country, right? And my nest is empty. What is important for me? So if this 1 year is important, I need to pick and choose my own bottles. I don't care whether this work, it'll come. But I need to choose. So if I'm sorted here in my head, कि मेरे लिए अभी क्या important है, I think you derive that peace and the work that you are in, whether it is working with an organization or working from home or for home. Everything seems to be much more at peace, I feel. So for me, it's very important to you choose that. Don't allow other people to dictate or just pamper you ki दूसरे तरीके से, and then they're trying to actually manipulate you in some way that, okay, you can do it, but it's how much can you take is very important. How much should you take is very important, right? What is important to you? Is your child more important, or is the work right now coming more important, or looking good in everybody's eyes is more important? What is important? So choosing your own battles really goes a long way for your own mental health, I think.
Yeah. Sure. Krishna, so you're the last, please share.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat with prioritizing ourselves, our needs, managing the self-care part of it, like we rightly discussed earlier, right? Unless and until we are equipped to handle situations, we won't be able to help others. So that should be the number one priority. And I strongly believe, I think there was an earlier question, Himani, about having more women leaders. I strongly believe for one reason that we should have more leaders, just to look up to them, who tell stories of vulnerability, who tell stories of imperfection, and who tell us stories that, it's fine, to ask for help. We all talked about, asking for help, but we don't have examples of successful women, quote unquote successful women, who say it out, right? Aruna was probably talking about Inda Nui, and I think in one of her interviews, she talked about that women cannot have it all, and we probably have to accept it, right? So I think these are some of the things that I go by, and I try to inculcate the practice of empowering others or helping other women and taking them along with me, and that is something that really that helps me move forward as well. So these are some of the thoughts.
Thank you, Krishna. So, just before closing, within just a few minutes, only just 2-3 minutes only, I want to say, I was watching one of the podcast, and one of the more quick honor, she said, founder, she said, of course, it's good to have, have the role model being as having an actress or star. That is good. But how many role models which we have, who are the women leaders? And if you talk about the fintech also, fintech is increasing in India, but still there are such a less percentage in the fintech. There are the women lead the leaders, even the women employees also working in the fintech companies. So yeah, I think it is one thing. And another part which I want to say is like, yes, a lot of things which women can do, which can be done into the corporate and home life. But one thing which I can say about is like, which I'm doing it and also want to do for the further in the community is like, we rather waiting to get stuck in our life, reach a position where our life become as like, not good, not peaceful, not happy, not healthy, maybe the relationship spoiled, rather than coming at that level, just to take a right support before that. So that is more important. If somebody want to go at a career level, and after reaching a level they are realizing it, that their career growth is not happening, why to wait for that time? Why not to take a right support before that only? Because which is coming, I think, maybe from my own journey also, which I realized that maybe if I've taken the right coaching support, because I have a coach from last 4 years, and I still love the coaching, because coaching is for me is not only like giving the people, but it is some of the something which I would love to take. And from last 4 years I still have a coach in my life, and I keep working each and every day. And at that moment when I started taking the coaching, I realized that if I would have taken this coaching earlier in my life would have been changed drastically. So that's what I think. Please don't wait. Reach for the right support at the right time. Yeah. Thank you. And with this, thank you so much for sharing all the incredible thoughts. And of course, two people are not here, Sandhya and Jyanti, but want to say thank you to them also for coming here. Preeti, Shanti, Krishna, Suvidha, Aruna, and one of the joining us here, Archana. Thank you so much for being here and sharing so many thoughts. And I would say, let's keep improving our norms and building a brighter future for everyone. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Himani.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Himani,
Himani.
facilitating
Great
so
discussion.
beautifully. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye. Take care. Happy Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Same to you.
Himani, have you stopped recording?